Chapter 34. It doesn't stop you from seducing me. Jean looked at Eden standing in front of her. It was obvious that he was doing it on purpose. To be honest, she did not have any interest in this man at the moment. She did not even know why she loved him so wholeheartedly back then. After thinking about it, it was probably because she was young and did not know any better. After all, any teenage girl would not be able to reject a good-looking and well-educated young man with good grades, a good personality, and good family background. It was just that those labels could not compare to a dirty heart. The corners of Jean's mouth curled up slightly. "Young Master Swan, is there something you need from me?" Eden glanced at Jean and lowered his head to look at George. George did not want to be outdone and looked back at him. Eden said, "I want to talk to you alone." Jean lowered her head and looked at George. "Go back to your room first." She just did not want this man to waste too much of her time, so she did not want to be tangled with him. George had always been obedient. Even though he was a little displeased, he still left obediently. Jean looked at Eden and said coldly, "Young Master Swan, if you have something to say, just say it. I haven't thought of how to help you reject your marriage with the Locks, yet you broke it off so easily." Eden stared at Jean. "You're much smarter than before." Jean smiled. "One learns from one's mistakes. I can't be ignorant like how I was 7 years ago. Are you still brooding over what happened 7 years ago? Young Master Swan, you're worrying too much. I only learned a lesson from what happened 7 years ago." "Jean, why do you have to talk to me like that? We were in love for a while, so I'm not so indifferent to you. As long as you take the initiative, I can help you with many things." Eden seemed to be expressing his attitude. Jean smiled again. She said, "It's better for you to be indifferent toward me, young Master Swan. I don't dare to ask for your help, and I don't dare to go against Jasmine now. I'm afraid I won't even know how she'll kill me if it happens." Eden's face darkened slightly. Jean seemed to dislike him from the bottom of her heart. Eden had put down his airs, but she still maintained her posture. He said, "If I can guarantee that Jasmine won't dare to do anything to you, will you?" The corners of Eden's mouth curled up into a smile. He reached out his hand and moved his fingers toward Jean's cheek. Jean took a step back and dodged it perfectly. Eden's fingers stiffened. He clenched his fist tightly and put it down. It was not difficult to see his emotions. Jean said, "Young Master Swan, unrighteous deeds will lead to your own death." After saying this, Jean walked past him and prepared to leave. Eden grabbed her arm. Jean's eyes narrowed. Eden pulled her to his side with a ferocious expression. "Didn't you dress like this on purpose to seduce me tonight? Like this? What about this?" Jean lowered her head and looked at her outfit of a virtuous woman. She was only wearing a black tight-fitting t-shirt and a pair of skinny jeans. Who did she seduce with such an ordinary outfit? It would be fine for an ordinary person to wear this outfit, but due to her seductive figure, she looked erotic. Jean moved her arm and gestured for Eden to let go. At this moment, Eden did not dare to do anything out of the ordinary in the Lawrence residence. After a few moments of stalemate, he still let go of her. Jean said, "Young Master Swan, you'd better not be so narcissistic. Who says that I'm not trying to seduce your fourth uncle?" Jean. Eden was furious. She probably triggered him, so his expression changed completely. Jean smiled faintly and continued, "No matter I look at it, your fourth uncle is stronger than you. Stop dreaming." Eden was incomparably enraged, and at this moment, he no longer put on an act. "Who do you think you are? Do you think you can seduce my fourth uncle just because he spoke for you? Don't you know what kind of person you are? How dare you think about getting married into a prestigious family when you have a burden with you? Marrying a scumbag like Thegis would have been the most you can do. If you're more obedient, I can still make you my mistress and guarantee that you'll have nothing to worry about for the rest of your life. How dare you boast shamelessly about wanting to seduce my fourth uncle? Do you even have any self-awareness?" Toward Eden's insults, Jean did not react at all. All of her love for this man ended the moment he announced to the media that he loved Jasmine. She said indifferently, "In any case, I'm not a good person anymore and I'm hopeless. If I'm lucky." "Enough." Eden interrupted her directly. Of course, Jean knew the reason Eden was so angry. It was not because he could not forget her, but because he was afraid that she would really seduce fourth Master Swan. If that happened, what would become of him and Jasmine's images? Everything Jean said tonight was to deliberately anger Eden. Of course, she did not think that she could seduce fourth Master Swan, but it was still great to anger Eden. Eden wanted to say something more, but he heard Jasmine's voice behind him. Eden, are you outside? He held back. Eden gave Jean a fierce look, and with a threatening look, he turned around and left. Jean sneered and got up to leave. Ms. Lawrence. Behind her, a male voice was suddenly heard. It was a creepy feeling. Jean turned her head and watched Fourth Master Swan walk out from the dark. His tall physique and strong aura were hard to ignore. Jean suppressed her shock and asked, Fourth Master Swan, are you used to appearing and disappearing so mysteriously? Do you think that I should come out and embarrass my nephew then? Fourth Master Swan asked. Jean was speechless. The swans would naturally side with the swans. Jean smiled politely. You're right. Edward looked at her. Her smile was beautiful, but it was as cold as ice. She was strongly distancing herself from him. If there's nothing else, I won't disturb you from enjoying the night. Am I hopeless? Edward suddenly spoke. Jean was stunned, then she explained, Fourth Master, you misunderstood. I was talking about myself. You're not. Edward gave an affirmative answer. At that moment, Jean was speechless. She smiled embarrassedly and forced herself to respond, Thank you, Fourth Master, for not minding me. Edward did not reply and just looked at her. Jean felt that the rumor that Fourth Master Swan was a man of few words was true. At this moment, they were in such an awkward situation. Time ticked by. Jean felt that if she did not take the initiative, Fourth Master Swan would not say anything. She said, It's getting late. I'll go back to my room first. Without further delay, she turned around and left. Ms. Lawrence, you're more suitable for loose clothing. Edward's deep and magnetic voice came from behind. Jean pursed her lips. In the end, she was still a little unhappy. Were her normal clothes so unbearable in the eyes of others? Was it her fault that she was in such good shape? She gritted her teeth and forced herself not to care. The next moment, the person behind her added, It doesn't stop you from seducing me.